Steve, good afternoon. Welcome back to Friday at 4.
Thanks, Charles. Love, as always, love to be here. It's a great time.
Yes, sir. I love it. Sorry, we're a little bit behind schedule today, but things happen, right?
Hey, whatever. We're here. That's the point. Okay.
The good thing is it's 4 o'clock somewhere, right?
Correct. Correct.
So, 4:09 here, 4 o'clock somewhere else, and we're good.
Not everybody's on time to every meeting. So, hey, we're entitled. So, okay.
I love it. I love it. So, what you got today?
So, what I was gonna do today, um, is to go back a little bit into how I got into the entrepreneur world and some of the things that I did right, some of the things I didn't do quite so right, and the help that which is quite a bit, and some of the help that if I knew then what I know now, you've all heard that before.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so that's kind of what today's going to be. Um, so some of you may have heard this, most of you have not. So very briefly, um, I spent 32 years in corporate in the IT space. Um, Thought I loved it, did well, and all those funny, silly things that go with it. But in early 2012, I said, you know what? Enough is enough. It was too much traveling, too much politics, too much. And I said, I'm done. So I spent all of 2012 trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I grow up. Quite frankly, that's the conversation I had with myself in the mirror. And I looked around and looked around. That's a true story, by the way. And I found a company that I really liked, and it doesn't matter what company it was, but I found a company that I really liked that I could wrap my arms around that I was passionate about. And I spent the rest of the year going through all the paperwork and doing and whatnot. And I talked to a whole bunch of people about what makes sense, what should I do about a whole range of topics. Because again, coming into being an entrepreneur was completely brand new to me. And as much as I thought I knew, I was dead wrong. I knew nothing. I mean, actually, I knew less than nothing about opening a business, and I'm telling you the truth. So when I opened up in January of 13, my concept was the more people that know you, the better, which makes sense because you're trying to launch a business. The
Yeah.
more people that know you, the more opportunity for you to do business, pay your bills, make some money, and be happy. And that's kind of what we all want. At least I think so.
Yeah. I have
I,
to agree with you.
I, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charles agrees. We're good. Okay.
We're all going to agree. There you
There we
go.
go. Boom. So, but I found out very, very quickly that I knew, like I said, less than nothing. Um, Everything from marketing to HR to sales to operations. I mean, I knew nothing. And certainly on the financial side. And that's when I realized glaringly for the first time, and I'm not afraid to say this, I was financially illiterate. Now, I'm a smart guy. I have a degree in accounting. I have a master's in information systems, 32 years in corporate. I was financially illiterate. Yes, I could take money out of my pocket. Yes, I could count it. Great. But kind of, sort of, that's where it ends. I had no idea how money worked. I had no idea what I should spend, what I shouldn't spend, how it's being used. No clue. And as I proceeded, I knew I had, based on where my business was, it was in a very expensive area, which again, mistake number one, and high rent, which is required to be paid every month. I had salaries required to be paid every week or every 2 weeks. Utilities, insurances, cost of goods, everything that I had to spend, I had to spend. But where's the money to spend it? Because I put too much money into the business instead of taking a loan. So when I needed all this money to pay my monthly expenses, it wasn't there.
Yeah, I
So
remember
after
you had
2 years,
mentioned that,
I'm sorry.
last week you had mentioned that about, the couple things that you did wrong with, and you would talk about it further today about, you should have took a loan versus spending the money that you
Mhm.
had gotten. Yeah, it's kind of a downfall, right?
That was the start of the downfall.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah.
So, simple example, you have a bank account and you have a checkbook, checking account, checkbook. Common sense would say, and again, I didn't have any, so I'm telling you the truth here. Common
Again.
sense would say if you put $100 into the account on the checkbook, which I understand people don't use checkbooks anymore. I get it. I'm old fashioned. Okay. But if you have $100 in there, you really shouldn't spend more than the $100. And if the $100 runs out, you really need to say, time out, stop, have no more money, wait till you get more.
The bank
And
doesn't like that.
not me, it didn't work that way. So 2 years in, I had whatever money I had that I started with. But because the money coming in from my customers was not enough, my balance every month continued to go down and
Mm,
down and down.
yeah.
So for over 2 years, I did not take a salary. Again, have to pay the mortgage, the rent, have to pay salaries, utilities, and all those other things, have to do that. I didn't to myself. But 2 years in, there's no money left,
Yeah.
none. And the business closed. But I go back to it was a good business. It was a good business model. There was a need for it, but I was financially illiterate. And that started the ball rolling for a whole bunch of other things. Now, what I should, or what I should have, if I knew then what I know now, things could have again been different. And there's a couple of different things that, if they existed back then, I did not know about them. And that was part of the downfall of not knowing anything going from corporate to entrepreneur. One of those things was something called podcast. Now, I know what they are now. I've done a whole bunch, including one with Charles, which was very well received, by the way. So again, I'm starting to get into that, and it's more popular now than it ever has been. So I'm sure you've all heard of it. I didn't. So that would have been a very inexpensive or free way, depending on how you look at it, to get my
Yeah.
name out to a large number of people, my name, my company's name to a large number of people, but didn't have that. So that added to the drain of my cash.
Mhm.
Another thing that I should have done if I knew it was to have an analysis done by an independent person or group. What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? What should I be doing that I'm not? What should I not be doing that I am? So it works both sides. And those tips, tricks, tools of the trade, again, could have saved the business to where it would have been a lot better and I could have been flourishing where I didn't. So that
Yeah.
was a big deal.
Something I'm going to add to that real fast is it's interesting that you said, if I knew then what I know now. And I want to add, if I would have known then what I know now, if I would have just listened to what's going on in here and just followed what I'm really meant to do, could have saved myself probably 15 years.
Okay.
Just a thought.
No, no, absolutely. You're absolutely right.
I mean, I fought myself because I thought I was going to go in one direction,
Mm,
which was IT. And when I failed that Network Plus test back in
mm,
2001 ish, it woke me up to say that's not for me.
right.
And I went in a totally different direction, management, and here I am.
Yep. But you're right. You have to look inside.
Yeah,
Now, one of those things that you just mentioned, which I'm going to expand on, is working on the business versus in the business.
yeah,
Because the business was struggling and I had all those bills, I was working more in the business trying to figure out, how do I pay the rent? How do I pay the salaries? How do I pay the utilities? Because you can't have customers walking into a dark office. Sunlight works so much, but then nighttime hits and you're in trouble.
yeah,
So, at least to me, it does that every day and you can't get around it. Um, so that was the thing of, oh, so that's working in the business. If I would have had some additional insight to say, you know what, let me maybe delegate somebody to do those day-to-day things, or take my day and say, I'll take 2 hours a day on those things, 10 hours a day trying to generate business, which is working on the business to generate revenue, get your name out there, do all those things. So between the two, I could have made it as well. Now, again, to go back, the reason I'm making all these statements, entrepreneurship is a great thing, 100%. And I will never go back to being in corporate ever. But the idea of me telling you my story and Charles coming in with some of his background as well, we want you to understand to not make those same mistakes. You can 100% be successful if you pick the right business with the right support system. You absolutely can be successful. And that's
yeah,
why we're here again. Go
yeah.
ahead.
And you know what's cool is we're talking about that very point about kind of creating, a team and utilizing people. And
Mhm.
it's really cool because the very thing I did today was created the roles I need for my project
Yeah.
that coming up with that I'll explain pretty soon. I don't want to reveal it just yet because I'm still focusing and working
Okay.
on it. But it's interesting how I created those roles today of the
Mhm.
team I need to put together to make this happen.
Right.
And here we are talking about this very thing that plagued you in your earlier years of your first business. Amazing.
Everybody that I know of has gone through the ups and downs of owning a business. There's no
Yeah,
question,
yeah,
because you're going to find situations you may never have encountered before. So, how do you deal with it? Um, when things work well, that's great. But a lot of people take their foot off the gas and assume that things are working well, they always will.
yeah.
Not true.
Not true.
When things are working well is when you then have to take the step back and say, what happens if this doesn't work? How do I address it? If this, if that, if the other thing doesn't work. So
Yeah,
if that situation does happen, you already have an action plan to get you back on course much quicker, much less expensive.
yeah,
I didn't know any of that stuff. So when the business started to go south, it just continued because I didn't know any other way.
yeah.
So that's that. Um,
Yeah, I got lucky the first time around. I had a couple of people who were helping me, and I was just flying by the seat of my pants, and it just worked out because, I was able to stronghold through that to say, look, I got to get this done. And people believed in me at that point.
mhm,
They knew my business, they
right.
knew what I was doing, and they jumped right on board and said, yeah, I'll help you. And I had that not written down, not created, but it was in my mind. And
Mhm.
I was able to articulate, here's what I need, here's what we need to get done. They just did it. And it was smooth. And that's what made me pretty successful first time around.
Okay.
So
Oh, nice.
yeah.
So what Charles and I do, and this is not a sales pitch, we're just trying to help you. I'm on the financial side. So when I say I was financially illiterate, that was my kick in the butt to figure out what I need to do, when, how, and now help other people so they don't make those same mistakes. Charles, on the other hand, he's working with people who, when they're open, are they doing the right thing? Are they portraying the right image out to the customers to draw people in so you can pay the bills and make money? So
Right.
we tag team to help you do the best that can be done. So if you're looking for some help, if you're looking for ideas, if you're looking for some of the things just to get a feel for what's right, what's wrong, should I, shouldn't I, contact Charles. Um,
Appreciate that.
it's Chuck at QACteam.com is his email. Send him an email. Ask him some questions. There's no harm in asking a question. The harm becomes if you don't ask the question and then have the financial issue.
I
That's the harm
appreciate
in it.
that. Yeah, I appreciate that. First time around, I sent an email to a bunch of potential clients, and the best one that Roof returned to me was, "Oh no, I like to just stick my head in the sand and think everything's okay. Thanks." That was the response, and I laughed and said, "That's got to be the best one I've ever got." Don't be
So
that guy, right?
no, don't be that guy. Don't
Don't
be
be
that
that
guy. Or girl. Don't be that
guy or
person.
girl.
Um,
Be that
you know,
person.
no. I had a conversation with a guy today. He started a business and he's struggling because he's a young guy, has a great concept, very technical at what he does, which is what he needs for what he's doing, but he doesn't understand the money side of it. And he found himself in serious debt. So we had a conversation today. Didn't charge him, not looking to do business, but I'm setting him on the path to get himself out of debt.
Yeah,
So he's going to do it on his own. And my satisfaction is knowing that I helped somebody.
yeah,
That's me.
yeah,
Again, I'm using my experience, and Charles is similar mindset. How can we help you? Those
yeah.
conversations, it's certainly in the beginning, are how can we help you?
And I ran into an interesting guy today who was creating a business, and I don't want to say anything quite yet about it because I want to wait till him and I start talking, get together. He wants me to help him with it a little bit. That's not unique, but he has a different approach to how he wants to put it together. And that's what intrigued
Mhm.
me, to say, hey, reach out to me. Let's talk about it. Let's
Right.
let's get you on the map, man. See what we can do to push this forward for you. So it's all about
As
helping.
yeah, it's cost nothing to call up and ask questions.
Yeah.
Um, one of the things I mentioned last week, there are multiple things that anybody can do. And what I was talking about is before you go in and start a business, see if you can work part-time or even full-time for a month, 2 months, 3 months in that field to see if you really like it. Before you put your time, energy, money into something, do what I did not do, which is get the experience. I just jumped in head first and sank. Okay. It
Yeah.
sank right in the pool, being deep end.
Yeah.
Um, don't do that.
Yeah, I with myself, I had 2 years of mission shopping experience before I even started. But I will
Okay.
tell you, it was very difficult starting because I didn't know where to go, how to begin. But
Mm,
I just jumped in like you did, and because I had that experience, I was able to figure it out pretty quickly.
right.
Within 5 years, I was rolling.
Yeah. It
So
does take time.
yeah,
Um, what I also suggested a few times, have multiple streams of income.
yeah,
And
that was one of
there are
my
ways to
faults
do
too.
that.
Yeah,
Um,
that was one of my faults too. Starting, I was about negative, about 16, negative $16,000 the first 4 years. And that
mm,
last year, when it turned around and things really came about, you know,
mm,
the database company who I worked with were very appreciative that I paid that bill, and they were
mm.
really scared that I wasn't going to do it. But I told him, you have my word, and I did it. You know,
That's nice.
yeah,
It's great from a whole bunch of reasons. One is obviously you paid the person and they're happy, but two is you inside. Now you know you can do it. You can clear up your debt instead of walking away from it, which can hurt your credit rating and all those other things. So it's great that you did it.
Yeah.
On my side, in 2 years, I was in debt several $100,000 and went
Wow.
bankrupt because of it.
Wow.
So
So sorry.
no, 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 it is what it is. It
Yeah.
took me about 5 years to work my way out of it, and I did, but it's a very tough lesson to learn. So again, if we can help any of you out there do something with less pain, less financial, less anything, that's why we're here. We want to help.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that's my rant for today, if you want to call it a rant.
I love it. I love it. Don't
Um,
forget to plug yourself here at the end. How do we contact you?
so get to Charles. It's Chuck at QACteam.com. Um, I am Steve Kent Financial Services. It's Steve at Steve Kent FS, which is financialservices.com. And you can get me. We'll respond to you quickly. Again, conversations should be had. The only bad one is the one you don't ask. I know you've heard that before, but it's the truth.
Yeah. The answer is always no, unless you ask. I mean,
Correct.
that's why we're here to help.
Correct. The
We
answer
would
is
never say
always no.
no,
Right.
always here to
Right.
help. And I
Right.
think that's a good thing that I
Yeah.
had that conversation today with that gentleman. And that's what I
Mhm.
said to him. I said, look, I mean, my podcast is free. I don't charge because I love to help. I want to help promote people.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I'll get my money on the back end with other services that I have, but I'm always going to have my free podcast,
Right.
always,
Right.
you know.
Last thing, if you have any ideas on topics, things we should talk about, we want to help you talk about what you want to hear. We can talk all day, but it's got to be something you want to hear. So if you have anything you do, let us know, and we'll be more than happy to address anything. What you will get from us is the truth. You may not like what you hear, but it will be the truth. So if it helps you not make those decisions,
Yeah.
then listen to it.
Yeah. And, I'd like to plug at the end here to say if anybody that's listening, come join us on a
Right.
Friday at 4. Come in and pop in. I'll
Right.
be more than happy to
Mhm.
sign you in and talk to us. And let's see what you got to say. Live
Yeah.
rental in their interview.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
great way to plug, a business if you have one, or you want to talk, like you said, talk real time. We're here for
absolutely.
you.
Yep, absolutely.
All
Steve,
right.
thanks a lot, man. It's been another great episode.
Absolutely.
It's
And
always
again,
a pleasure talking to you.
Fridays at 4, somewhere it's 4 o'clock.
It's 4 o'clock
All
somewhere.
right.
I love it. Steve, enjoy the rest of your Friday, man. We'll talk soon.
You too. Thanks, Charles. Take care.
You got it.
Thanks,
Take
everyone.
care, man. Take care,
Bye.
buddy.